Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Kim with the Craft Space. Today I thought I would share with you a quick little tutorial on how to make a Christmas card last minute with just some things that I had around here. I'm getting ready to finish up the last few things I need to before I leave for my family's house in about 8 or 9 days. And I forgot that I didn't do Christmas cards, so while I was at the library photocopying, I photocopied a quick print off that I thought was adorable, and I thought I would share with you how to make a, not really last minute Christmas card, but just a fun Christmas card with stuff that I had laying around other than the part that I printed off. And since I'm not going to be selling it, I didn't think using a picture off the internet was going to be much of an issue. So anyway, let's get started and I'll show you the card that we're going to make today. It's just a real simple card. It is blank on the inside because I'm going to go ahead and write on the inside, and I might put a pocket in here for one gift card. I don't normally give gift cards, but I have one gift card to give to my sister, and so hopefully she's not watching this. I didn't even think about that. And we have just a little on the back, some lace. So I thought I would just show you a quick little way to make a Christmas card. I picked this just because I love the 1940s. I try to do my hair like that whenever we go to the USO dance, and so I thought that was a cute picture that retro picture that I found. So let's get started with what we have. Okay, and this is not my normal crafting area. I usually have an 8-foot table in my studio that I craft in, so I've got just a very limited space to do tutorials while I am here. So I thought doing a card would be something simple, and I'm not getting out all of my paper cutters and all of my big equipment, so I thought this might be a nice way to show you that when you just have a few minutes to craft while you are have a small space, you can do this as well. Okay, so this paper is quite thick. It's craft, I call it craft paper. It's heavier than construction paper, not quite cardstock. It's very fibrous, but it's called, I guess, craft paper was on the label. So I'm going to use my scissors and really burnish this down because my bone folder is at my studio. So I'm going to use the back end of my scissors, which always works in a pinch. Alrighty. That seems like it's, I don't think it's opening too much. That looks pretty good. Alrighty, and since the pictures I'm going to use, I already went ahead and put them on a piece of regular scrapbook paper just because I don't have the big large area to do so here, but I will show you how I did it. I took this size, or I think one size smaller, yeah, one size smaller, and I rounded all the corners. And if you were going to round corners on this thinner type paper, I would definitely recommend that you use another piece of paper. I'll go ahead and find a little scrap that I have. Let's use this envelope, because sometimes the thickness on this copy paper does not allow you to make a nice clean cut, and it kind of folds over and chews it up. So we just round the corners off, and again, I'm just showing you real quick. And I round all of my corners before I decide to start inking. So I rounded all the corners, and so then you have all your corners are rounded. And then I went ahead and I inked it all. And sometimes if you have this thinner paper and you are inking, be careful that you don't go too hard against it, because it will then tend to want to tear. So I take my time when I'm using a thinner paper like this, and I really get the dauber nice and juicy, or nice and covered with ink, and then you don't have to go at it as hard to get it to show up. So once it's all inked around the edges, which I'm sure you all know how to do if you're into junk journaling, but I thought this would be maybe for a new person, if you haven't made a quick Christmas card, this might help. So then what I did was, after it was all inked and all corner clipped, I glued it onto a piece of heavier, just a little bit heavier cardstock, not quite cardstock, but a heavier double-sided paper. And I did not like this side as much as I liked the holly side. I thought the holly went with the holly on her hat. And I went ahead and did different sizes of these. And I wasn't sure how big of a card I needed for this. And so I just did a couple of different sizes. And like I said, I'm not getting out any big, not getting out my guillotine. I'm not going to get out my paper cutter, just because this little desk does not have a lot of room on it. So I am freehanding everything. I'm eyeballing everything to try to see if it's gonna be straight. And when it's a personal Christmas card and it's not something you're selling on your shop or at a craft sale, I don't think that the corner or the measurements are as important. If I were to be making up a set of cards for, say, a craft fair, or to throw up on an Etsy shop or something like that, then I definitely would go ahead and use either the guillotine or my slide cutter to make them all a little bit more uniform. But when it's just something I'm doing quickly for my family, I think they will appreciate the little imperfections. And since this is a little bit thicker, you can go ahead, and you probably don't need that extra layer when you are punching the corners. But it still looks a little bit too big for me. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pencil. And it, again, it does not have to be perfect. So again, I'm just going to eyeball it. So maybe just, that looks pretty good. Just going to draw a little line there, and maybe a little line out here. Line this up. Again, give it a little eyeball. Line this up with the bottom, and I do know that this is a little bit, was cut on the edge of the paper, so I should have a pretty straight line there. This isn't going to be the greatest, but you know what? As I've mentioned before, my cutting is not always that straight anyway, so there we go. So I think that gives us a nice card size. And I'm not giving any exact measurements, because you can make these whatever size you would like. You can make it the size of the envelopes you already have. You can do whatever you want size-wise. And that's why this is just a super easy tutorial on how to make a card. So there's really no rules. When I'm cutting a straight line, sometimes I do like to grab a paper clip and use that to just help so that you don't get that the line where the front and back don't match, where it tends to slip up at the top. This is some pretty hefty paper. And while I've already got it clipped, I will go ahead and punch the corners. And I'm only punching the corners on the open side, which I think is self-explanatory, but I always like to make sure that I've got all of my bases covered and everybody is on the same page. So we'll go ahead and ink this. And I am using my 4-pack of distressed ink, and I think this color is Vintage Photo, which is this top corner. I tend to use Vintage Photo for quite a bit. The ground espresso that's on the bottom has a little bit of a weird tinge to it to me. Almost has a little bit of a green color to it. I don't know, maybe it's just me. What do you think? What is your favorite ink color that you use? And again, I feel like I'm rushing this because it's supposed to be just a quick little project. But you could ink it so that the corners get a little bit more ink on them. I think that looks pretty nice. Move that to the side for right now. The next part is we need to do the little bit of lace that's on the edge. And I have this, it's not, I think it's a vintage lace, but it's nothing fancy, nothing, nothing too expensive. And I'm going to just do a quick measurement. And it doesn't really matter, as you can tell here, it doesn't really matter if you have 3 of them, or if you want to, you can be more precise and you can center it down the middle. But by the time you cover it up, I don't believe that you can really see too much of it. Again, if I was selling these in a pack or at individually, like at a craft sale, I probably would center this a little bit more. But for what I'm doing here, I'm going to just use what I have. And on this one, I did it a little different. I put this straight edge on the back because I thought this would be cute to have the scallopy edge under my picture. But what I realized is that the picture covered up most of it, so I'm going to flip it around and see how it looks this time. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm using my Fabri-Tac. My bottle's getting a little messy because I've used it a little bit while I was making cards today, and I was rushing, so I didn't clean it off very well. And I'm just going to run a real simple bead right down the edge. And again, since your card is going to be, or your top piece is going to be covering it up a little bit, I wouldn't worry too much about how perfect you have it. You can always add more glue. And I'm going to just go over maybe just at the bottom of those scallops to catch that line of glue right in there. And if this is a little bit not going to attach, it's okay, because like I said, most of it's going to be, if you notice, most of it's going to be right underneath, and it almost looks the same as the other one. So I think that looks really good. Make sure you've got it lined up. That's what I like about Fabri-Tac, because it gives you a little bit of time to get things to set up. All right, so we've got that part on. I'm gonna just make I don't know where I picked that up from. Gonna. I'm going to line that up, and it looks like I might need just a tab right here, and I'll tack this down right here. I do like that you can just beat up the Fabri-Tac when it gets all over your fingers, but I am a very, very messy crafter. Okay, I'm going to just trim these bits off. We might need to re-trim it once we are done, but for now, while I'm flipping it over, I want to just make sure that I don't have all that extra. All right. And for this part, what I'm going to do is just very lightly go through and put the glue. If you can see, I'm going to put it on the more densely woven part of the lace for right this second, so that we don't have it all showing on the back of the card. But then what do you do with all these extra little bits? And I'm going to very carefully run it along the edges on here, just like a little dab here and a little dab there. And I think I've left my glue bottle open because I can tell this top stuff is getting a little thicker and a little drier than normal. So I need to be much more mindful about not letting my glue sit open while I am projecting. All right, and I usually, while I'm doing this back part to flip it over, I give it just a second to get a little bit more tacky and less liquidy. And so we'll give that just a quick little second or two. And I'm trying to just get 5 of these cards done. And then once they're all nice and dry, I will use my little envelope maker and I will make matching envelopes because I'm doing different sizes just for fun. And I didn't want to do too much of it as a mass make so that they all are super matchy-matchy. All right, and so what I'm doing is gently giving it just a bit of a tug over the fold of the card, not too much, but I don't want to have that extra little bump on the fold. So I'm just, there we go. And I'm going to see if any of my sisters or if my parents recognize why I chose that, the picture on the front when we all open gifts. Okay, so it's not completely dry, but for the sake of not keeping you here all afternoon while this is supposed to be a quick tutorial, we'll go ahead and just be real careful. I'm going to work with it being just a little bit wet. And all I'm doing is trimming off these extra little bits. And I probably could have left them. They might have looked a little boho on the end. Okay, and it looks like it is pulling the card open just a little bit. So what I will do is I will set these in something heavy while they dry, like under a book or something like that. Okay, now we are done with this lace. And if you wanted to, I suppose you could put a little lace here or however else you would like to. But for this simple card, we're going to go like this. And now, okay, make sure that that matches. And I wasn't going to ink the edges just because it's so dark already, but I just realized that in the light, you really can see this white edge. So I'm going to just very quickly bump off this white edge and not worry too much about dragging it around the corner and really doing this because I don't think that it's going to show. But I do think that this little white edge on the brown paper was sticking out. You might not be able to see it in the video, but I could really see it in the light. Would anybody else that was getting this card, would they notice? Probably not. But sometimes I am a little persnickety when it comes to my crafting. Okay, now here we are to this stage. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. And we'll go ahead and glue this down. Sometimes it's hard for me to use double-sided craft paper because I feel like you're wasting a whole side, but for this, I really liked the pattern. I liked the weight of the paper, and so I don't feel too badly about it. It always seems like the size paper that you need double-sided doesn't come double-sided, but then when you need single-sided, the pattern and print you want or the size you want, it doesn't come that way. And again, if you notice, I do use a lot of glue when I am doing things on video, just because I don't like to make everybody wait while I go very slow with being a little more frugal with my glue. But yeah, normally I don't use as much, but it's just easier when I have all of you guys along for the ride that I go a little bit quicker in the process. And the way I am measuring this is, as you can tell, this is probably further away than the edge is here, but I'm really more concerned about this edge and lining this part up than I really am about the lace, because the lace fills in that space, and I like how that looks. So I think that looks really nice. So we'll give that a nice little press down. And I apologize about my stuffy nose, but the weather is not cooperating right now, and so I've got just a little bit of a sniffly nose. Gets that way when it gets really, really cold here. Normally we don't have this cold of weather this early in the year, but welcome to Northeast Ohio. And if you don't, I guess what they say here is, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, and if you don't like that, wait another 5. So, okay, so look at that, pretty simple. So there we are almost done. And then we will get to today's December daily. So here we go. That looks really good. And now I want to just do a quick, oh, whoops, I forgot her little bow. I am going to take this piece of lace that I had left over. And to me, I'm using this because it looked very similar to, if you can see this and you can see this, it looked very similar to the edging on that. And I just had just enough and it was the right color. So bear with me. Let's see if we can tie one of those fancy bows where both of the, like this, where both of the bottom ties come out on the right, on the bottom, as opposed to when you tie a bow and they come off askew. But this is a weird piece of lace. I think it's got some polyester in it or some nylon. So the middle weaving wants to pull it funny. So what I do is I try to find the middle and I line up, I don't know if you can see, if I try to line up the bottoms and grab like this, and then I do the old-fashioned bunny ears trick, like when we tied shoes when we were 5. And I give myself a little bit of room. And I tie the bunny ears together. And if you need to, sometimes it works if you grab a tweezers. And did you see how that flipped over? I let that flip itself over. I don't know how else to describe that. Let's see if I can do it a little closer up. And you all probably already know how to do this. But for those of you that are new to this, and this is an easy beginner tutorial, I'm going to do it again. So you've got your 2 bunny ears like this. And so then you've got your big middle. And then, okay, so I've pulled the bunny ear through. And if you notice that piece wants to flip up, I kind of let it flip up and over. And it kind of then wants to go down. And since my, so now if you look, they're both on the bottom after that one flipped itself over. The problem is that it's so, those little, the ends are very, very short. So I'm kind of struggling a little bit. If you're new to this, I would recommend using a longer piece of ribbon. Okay, so now here is what it looks like before I've futzed it all. So it's kind of big, and let's move this out of the way so you've got the solid background. So now it's just big and wonky and all over the place. So I then hold the knot and I will cinch it back down and then reorient these bottom pieces so you really get that nice bow with the bottom ties coming out of the bottom. And I'm just gonna stick this in there to make those nice and flat so I get a nice pretty bow. And I'll pull that through to make those just a little bit smaller, and then try to grab it again to tighten it. And it doesn't have to worry about how tight it is because you are going to put a little bit of glue on it, so that will help secure it at this point. And there we go. Now it is secure. And then you can fuss it a little bit. And I don't tend to cut mine until I get it on the project, unless you have to, just because you never know if you want them hanging long or if you want them short. So there is my little cutesy bow. Unstopper my glue, put a little glue on the back. What do you guys do to keep your glue from drying out while you're crafting? Sometimes I'll have it tipped upside down, but then if it's really, really fresh and more viscous or less viscous, then it runs all over and I waste the glue. So it just seems better to leave it upright when it's this full. Okay, and we're just going to put it right down here because this part, and the reason I chose this is it's the least interesting part. It's just the bottom of her dress, and you know, I don't want to put it anywhere. And since I'm not going to be mailing these, I'm going to be hand delivering them. You don't have to worry so much about having a knot on there. If you are going to mail cards that you are putting embellishments on, be real careful because they won't go through the machine, and you'll have to write on the outside non-machinable. And then sometimes you'll get charged a little extra for, you might have to put the next set of postage on, but you'll have to check with your own post office. I am not sometimes I get Happy Mail and people have bows all over them and they come through with one stamp and nothing written on them, and sometimes they barely have a little bit of thickness to them and there's a postage due because the post office is finicky. So I don't like to be the end-all giver of information, but just be aware that whenever you do anything that makes your items a little bit thicker, or with this having a bump here, this can't go through the envelope reader, the machine, so just be aware of that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is trim these. Do I want them, I think I'm going to do them this way, where the shorter edge is on the inside. And these don't have to be perfect. Again, I am just eyeballing everything here. Alrighty, and there you have your card. That looks pretty cute. And you can put anything you want inside. If you wanted to, you could run these through the photocopier before you fold them, and put whatever greeting you want on the, not photocopier, your printer. Put anything you want. You could glue something in here. You can write in there. I'm going to leave it blank just so I can write them a little note. What I might do is take a piece of that printer paper with the edging on it and rip a little piece of it and stick it in there. I'm not sure yet. But now let's finish so we can put that little faux greeting card embellishment on the back. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to use this piece of the back, and I'm just going to use this little, I always say just, I'll use this little strip, and since it's the back, I'm not going to worry about, and you can, again, if you want to be fancier, if you want to, you can ink everything, but I can't even tell you if I think my sisters will flip the card over to even see this. But That's just my little personal touch. And boy, I have just got glue all over the place. And then I'm going to take my circle punch. I broke my other circle punch. I normally like the handheld squeezy type punches, but I broke it the other day and have not purchased a new one. So I do have this, I think I found this at a thrift store. They're a little bit more difficult to use. It's Creative Memories, but I found this is the 3/4 and the 1 inch, and then I've got the next size up that I think is the 1 1/4 and 1 1/2. But it is a pain when you're trying to do the tops of your pockets and to do those types of things, because you've got to either do it at an angle and you can't quite get it halfway. But for this, it'll be fine. I will quit complaining. What I'm going to do is, since this paper is printed, instead of just doing something random, I'm going to see if I can maybe catch that leaf in there. And there we go. Shot that right out. And we'll put just a dab of glue on the back. And then your card will be complete. So I want to say thank you to all of you new people that found my channel. Thank you for coming. It's been wonderful that you have stuck with me this long on making this very simple card. I hope you can find it useful. For those of you that are coming back to my channel, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. I'd love it if you'd comment below and let me know what you think about these little cards. I think they're pretty adorable. I think that they're very personalized. They're very much me kind of cards. So thank you. If you have a minute, I'd love it if you could like this video and subscribe, because it really does help my channel, and I'm trying to build this channel back up so that I can get back to the offering giveaways and those types of things, because I love making things and then I make too many and I love to give them away. So I love giving away little mini journals and ephemera packs and vintage packs and spine dangles and journal charms and those types of things. So I'm really trying to get this back up and going so I can get back to giving some of these things away. Alrighty, so real quick, let's get through the daily part of this, which I will tell you I'm working very hard on the daily part of this December daily, and I appreciate you coming with me, and this is a way that I can hold myself accountable for making sure that I do it every day. And if you can't get to yours every day, don't feel guilty. I'm sure I'm going to run into a day that I can't get it done. And I'm gonna have to double up, but doing a video and filming it really holds me accountable. It's like going to the gym with somebody else. It helps you maintain your schedule. So I'm going to flip through here and find today. I think I went too far. Yep, because here is day 11, and while I'm in here, I forgot to put a little glue on my little guy. So bear with me, I'm just gonna put a little glue on his legs. Just gonna stick a little bit of glue on his legs and tuck him in. I was going to do it when I finished, and I didn't. So, okay, there, now he's there with his buddies. And so here is the layout for today, which is the 12th. So it's now the 12th day of Christmas, which it's technically not. The 12th day of Christmas is actually in January. It's the 12th day after Christmas, but who's really counting? Who's paying attention? So here is today's layout, and I started it with using a piece from the cards I was making today. And so I started with her. This page already had this, I don't know if you can really see it because I've embellished over it. It had this little scrappy piece with the green, the red, and this little note page. all on here as a corner tuck, just as the empty journal. And then I added the 12 from the back of that cereal box, which means I'm now out of numbers from that piece. I added this little sticker from some Happy Mail, and this is the back of the some of the paper I used in the cards I was making. So what I try to do is, and it's also from the cover of this journal, the cover and the, yes, it's from the, if you probably don't remember, but it's also the background piece for the cover of my journal. And so I thought that's a nice little attention here. So I like to try to save, like this love, I can still use the joy, hope, believe, the jingle, visit. I might use some of the big letters, but then I don't want to waste those, or I can use this side. But so what I did was I didn't realize I was doing it until I was halfway through, but this came in Happy Mail, so I thought the colors seemed to match well, so I tucked it in here. Here we go with matchy matchy again. And I tucked that in there, and then realized, and I thought, oh, this would make a cute little pocket, and I did not realize it until I already glued it on top of this where it says bells. It says jingle bells, jingle all the way, so I guess I went with a bell theme on this page. And this is that back piece that I wasn't so fond of, but it looked cute in here as the little topper, to know that that pulls out. And I just wrote all about you, because this page ended up being all about me, starting with the Christmas cards that I made. This is, as you can see, it says hers, but it's from the Hershey bar from the other day, so I thought that would be on there. This bell was on there. It's, I think I got it from Jingle Bells, and I put the bell on there just to cover that up a tiny little bit. This was from some Happy Mail that was addressed to me, and it was so beautifully printed in calligraphy that I thought, well, I'll just add my first name right here from the envelope. What else am I going to do with it? It seemed to be pretty. I used the 3 different scrapbook paper bits and added just a little stacked background, added a little Merry Christmas from a book that all seemed to just tie it all together. Again, trying to be random, but again, it got to be, this one was fun. I really had fun designing this one. And I had one last little holly leaf left over from my journaling spot that I did a few layouts earlier, and I thought I needed a little something to stick it out the side, and that just went very well. And I did journal on the back of this, or on the inside of this, but my handwriting is not the best. I have a pretty sloppy handwriting, and so I didn't want to write on the actual bell, and I did not even realize this had bells on it till it was already kind of going. And so I did write on this, and I wrote silver bells, bells on bobtails from Jingle Bells. I didn't even write Jingle Bells on here. Church bells on Christmas Eve, which are one of my favorite things on Christmas Eve church, is when they do the ringing of the handbells. I just think they are so beautiful. I'm just mesmerized by them. Doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, but I think I'm going to add Jingle Bells on here. Because you don't have to always finish it in one day. You can journal a little bit, and then when you come back, you can add to it. So I will go ahead and add Jingle Bells on here as well to continue my bell theme. And look at this. I'm going to have to figure out what I did here. I must have, when I was stamping, or not stamping, inking, I got a little bit of schmutz on my hand and got it right in the middle of my journaling spot. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do around that. But we all make mistakes, and that's the nice thing about this type of journaling, is that there are really no mistakes. You can fix everything. You can cover it. You can glue something over it. You can draw around it. You can, maybe I'll get a stencil. Who knows what I'm going to do with it, but that was just my little mistake. But there we go. So much for my quick tutorial on this Christmas card. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, which is my favorite day, which is the 13th. And I believe, what is today's Thursday? So tomorrow's Friday the 13th, I think. That's another reason when you work for yourself, your days get all jumbled together. But thank you for coming. Hope to see you back again tomorrow, and have fun doing your journaling as well. Bye.